Check it.
Hello! I see this way too much in my comments. Please stop, it's cancer. Anyway, now I've got that out of my system, we can go ahead and talk about the topic at hand. That is the Crew Mexico DLC. So this is something which has kind of been rumored ever since the beta. I remember I made a video back in the beta days because there was actually kind of like a little Easter egg. It was like, if you were to go anywhere near the border, it would say like, oh, was America not big enough for you? Kind of teases you for a Mexico DLC. So today we're going to go ahead and just have a bit of a discussion about a Mexico DLC. Obviously nothing's been announced, but it's very likely, obviously, with the Wild Run kind of dying off slowly, that we could see another expansion or maybe a completely new game. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. So Mexico, the land of El Chapo, the land of desert, the land of fajitas. Well, what do I think about Mexico and having an expansion for the Crew? I think it could be really cool. The Crew is one of those games where it's very varied in terms of its environment. So obviously you got your amazing mountain passes. I'm sure there's going to be some absolutely amazing mountain passes in Mexico which you could drive on. Obviously you've got all of the desert and the mud areas. You know, overall it's a very, very kind of advanced place, and I feel like it would be a great place to have an expansion. The kind of topic I want to kind of shift on this video is, do I actually think it's gonna happen? And would I rather see a completely new game be made? Now, do I think the Crew 2 will come out? A simple answer, no. Again, it took him so long to make the original game, which is the one we have now currently. I can imagine this going on for a very, very long time. It took them, what, like 6-7 years to develop? So, you know, only having such a short life cycle, I don't think is a possibility for them. I think they have plans for this to live on for a very long time through expansions. So I don't think we'll see another Crew game for maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, maybe longer, who knows. But it's definitely not coming anytime soon. That kind of makes it more possible that we could see a Mexico expansion. Now, this is kind of where I feel like Ivory Tower have put themselves in a bit of a predicament. Now, the Crew, like the original the Crew 1, was on such a large scale, you know, like the size of the map, you know, even the car list, and then you've got all the specs on top of that, and then there's so much content in the game, you know, and to try to one-up that in another game would take years to develop for one, and it leaves the expectation of us, you know, the fans, like at quite a high level, you know. For them to do it, if they were going to make a Crew 2, people would be disappointed if it was a small map, you know. People are expecting like the whole country of the UK or like Europe as a whole, you know, or something across those lines. And I don't know, I feel like unless they were to spend years upon years upon years developing it, it's probably not going to happen. And if a Mexico expansion was to take place, A, it would have to be huge, and B, that would put more pressure on the next game being even bigger. Now, I'm not saying they can't do that, because Ivory Tower have done some absolutely magical stuff, you know. The fact that we are still getting support from this game and that kind of stuff, I think it's amazing, you know, in terms of free updates and whatnot. So I do think it can be done. But the bar's been set so high that it would take ages for the next game to be developed. Now, granted, they do have the assets, and that's going to be a big help in the future. And obviously, they did the graphical update, so that's going to help as well. But I just think overall, they've set the bar so high for themselves. They kind of put themselves into a corner, really. They've kind of backed themselves into a corner. And especially for the expansion, if an expansion is going to happen, it would have to be huge, otherwise people would be disappointed, because the Crew is a driving game. That is kind of the bottom line, really. But bottom line, would I like to see it? If another game isn't in the works, then yeah, sure. But if another game is in the works, I would rather them focus on that game instead of on working on an expansion. That's just how I see it. I think overall the Crew is still actually kind of going strong, you know. It hasn't got anywhere near the amount of players that it originally did, I don't believe. I could be wrong on that. But regardless, the game is still going strong, and I'm still in full support of Ivory Tower. I love what they're doing with the game. It's still alive. I'm still playing it to this day, and that isn't a bad thing. So if you guys enjoyed, make sure to go ahead, hit the like, subscribe. If you have some opinions about a possible Mexico expansion or the Crew 2, let me know down in the comment section down below. I will see you guys in the next one. You guys have been awesome. Stay safe and peace.